UNRWA is a Palestinian organization devoted to the Palestinian vision of no Jewish state. And it came about because the Arab refugees from the war of 1948, and it's important to mention, again, this was an unnecessary war. The Arabs were offered two states. We go back to the idea of two states, a Jewish state and an Arab state. But they rejected the idea because their top priority, as they said it, was first no Jewish state anywhere between the river and the sea, then everything else. They rejected partition, they rejected the UN proposal of a two-state solution, and they went to war. Complete violence, several Arab armies seeking to prevent the establishment of a Jewish state and to strangle it at birth. This was an unnecessary war. We need to say it 1,000 times. The Arabs could have had their states. We could have celebrated 76 years of another Arab state living in peace next to a Jewish state, hopefully living in peace. That's it. But it was more important for them to go to war against a Jewish state in any borders. They failed to achieve their goal of no Jewish state. People became refugees. There's nothing special about that. This is the 20th century. Empire collapsed, new states are established, new borders are delineated. Tens of millions of people became refugees. None of their hundreds of millions of descendants are considered refugees today because they all got the memo that said history moves forward. The empires are gone. There are now new states, new borders, new dividing lines. It's tragic. It's sad that you have lost your home, that you had to leave. But that's it. There's no going back. You move forward. So it's tragic, but you move on. Everybody in the world got the memo, except the Arabs of this land, who insisted that they will not move on because they do not accept that the Jewish state gets to live. And what they did is that they took over a temporary organization that was established for 18 months to settle them in Jordan, the West Bank, Gaza, Syria, and Lebanon. And they took it over using the power of oil, the pressures of the Cold War, in order to say, we will never settle until the Jewish state is annihilated. And that's what UNRWA is. UNRWA gets UN legitimacy, even though it's a purely Palestinian organization. When you hear UNRWA employees, those are not Swedes and Norwegians. These are all Palestinians living in Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, who are devoted singularly to the idea of return. Now, in case anyone thinks that return is an innocent idea, the book was called The War of Return. People thought this was a harsh title. But look at the texts. October 7th is the realization of the Palestinian vision of return, minute by minute. This is why you had so much exhilaration on October 7th. Palestinians never went to celebrate in 2000 and 2008 when they were offered a state. End of the occupation, no settlements, capital in East Jerusalem. They didn't go to celebrate because they never wanted a state. Not if the Jews also get a state. But on October 7th, you saw exhilaration of Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank around the world, because this is what they've been groomed for 75 years by UNRWA, with UN legitimacy, with Western money. They have been groomed to believe that the day will come that they will violently triumph over the Jewish state. And this is what return is for them. You see it in the texts of the 50s and 60s. They say, we will tear your hearts out of your bodies, your fingernails. They imagine return as a bloody, violent triumph over the Jewish state. And that's what UNRWA does. It appears innocent, but it is exactly the opposite. It's the organization that funnels UN legitimacy and Western money in order to keep the idea of no Jewish state alive. And if we go back to the discussion of two states, it's the one organization that ensures that there will never be a two-state solution, because it keeps telling the Palestinians, Just you wait. One day there will be no Jewish state.